recording. Let's see. We are on camera right now. Let me turn it a little bit this way. Okay, yeah, I think that looks good. Cool. We are here. Let's see. What do I start with? Opening. All right, Ubiakindi Sigitamu, everybody. We are here for another episode of the Red Nation podcast. Today we'll be talking more about the Red Media side of things and the new Freedom to Read book program that we have going on. So today you are listening to me. Hi, Justine. Been here before. You know me. Sound Clara, Tisiki, Akama, Red Nation, Red Media. And we are also here with Kiley.
Yeah, to everybody. I'm Kiley, Danae, Red Nation, Red Media. And as always, I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. So today we're here to talk about our new book program, which I told you about. And when deciding on what we wanted to say about it or how we want to convey what the Freedom to Read book program is, we thought it might be a good idea to sort of go back and really explain Red Media. I often see I guess a confusion between the Red Nation and Red Media. So I'm just going to go ahead and read our mission statement. Red Media was a movement before it was a media project. The idea arose on the heels of an anti-police violence movement in Tiwa Territory, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, and after brutal slayings of Indigenous people by settler vigilantes. A revolutionary Indigenous-led organization, the Red Nation, was formed to correct these injustices. What we learned from our work within the Red Nation is that there are few venues for Indigenous writing, let alone writing that centers Indigenous intelligence in all its forms. Red Media is a response to this need, a press and media project run entirely for and by Indigenous people. We produce writing and work according to our own intellectual traditions, not those imposed upon us by settler culture. We believe in Indigenous abundance and aim to inspire, caretake, and hold space for Indigenous writers by providing them a platform they may not otherwise have. Red Media publishes a wide range of work, including poetry, photography, Indigenous botany, academic publications, land as pedagogy, memoirs, manifestos, journalism, children's books, Indigenous language resources, history, politics, resource manuals, biographies, fiction, creative writing, edited collections, and much more. Our mission is to nourish, sustain, and build Indigenous movements that not only protect life on a planet on the verge of ecological collapse, but also provide models for a future premise on justice. The stakes are clear. It's decolonization or extinction. And so that kind of lays out how Red Media is sort of like a media offshoot of the Red Nation. We had to create an organization that fills the need of media and books and press stuff by and for Indigenous people. Of course, our list of published works, these are our hopes and dreams as Red Media and what we're working toward. And our program director, Kiley, is actually working toward that. She is building Red Media. So can you tell us a little bit about the how and why of the Freedom to Read book program?
Yeah, so it was honestly quite a journey. I think in Red Media and Red Nation, I wear many hats. And with Red Media, I started out as just someone who, would get all of our paperwork done, fulfilling our status and sort of laying the foundation of Red Media so that it could operate as it is today. And then also I kind of just moved into operations and handling all of our finances, employees, and then getting that foundation laid down. And last year we hired an operations director, so I was working with her to just like get them up to speed, and then I was handing off all of my like prior responsibilities. But all of those skills that I had developed during that time, it honestly like strengthened me to build this program, and it kind of gave me like the tools that I needed, or like sort of like an outline of what to look out for and what the program would need. So now that I'm like officially a program director and I'm able to essentially like do what I want, or like create what I want under Red Media, it's just so like, at first I was just like kind of freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with like all this time. There's so many possibilities. You know, it was sort of like boundless. And then I started thinking about the press and Red Media and how I wanted to build upon that. And I just see so much potential with books. I've always been like a really avid reader. Ever since I learned how to read, like as a kid, I kind of just like, I just had like so much imagination, and I just like could not stop reading. Because like it honestly took me to different worlds, and it kind of gave me like a sense of freedom. Like I could go anywhere, and like there's just like so much information. But anyway, so with the book program, I thought that it would be important because like, let's see, how do I say this? I just think it's important for like Native people to have access to any type of book that they want, or like to have access to information, to knowledge, to stories. And so initially that's what I was thinking, and that was kind of like my driving force, I guess. And then kind of just thinking back to like when I was a child, and like finding Native books was almost impossible, especially Native books written by Native authors. Most of the books that I was reading as a kid were written by white authors writing about Native people. So it was kind of like a romanticization of Native people and our experiences. So now we have like an abundance of stories. There are so many Native authors who are writing about like us and our struggles, or different worlds that they want to see. So that was kind of like where I started. And then I've just been building upon that. I guess I'll stop there. Or should I keep going?
No, I mean, that all sounds really awesome. And thanks for like explaining that basically we're building Red Media from the ground up. And so according to our mission statement, we have all these hopes and dreams that we're building to. Red Media has only been around for 20.
Well, see, we started like, I was approached to be a part of Red Media in October 2020. Yeah, dang. So we're still like new. We're still a little baby, a little baby press.
Oh, yeah. And it's true. We published one book, The Red Deal, which has gained, I feel like, a lot of attention in the last couple of years since we released it. And we do have books like in the queue that are up and coming. So look forward to 2024 for more works by Red Media. But yeah, so Kiley just wants to put Native books in the hands of Native people. And so how we've done that while she's been doing this like dual role of like handling operations and finances for Red Media while also trying to come up with the actual like programs, especially on the press side of Red Media, while she's trying to come up with these programs like at the same time, through the course of like our work as Red Media, she's done quite a lot actually. This is the first time that we're really talking about it. We put a couple social media posts about it here on like Instagram and our other socials. First of which being the Gallup book events.
Okay, so we had 2 book events for the launch of An Enemy Such as This, which details the history of Larry Kazuz. But we had 2 events, one in Albuquerque and one in Gallup. And the event in Gallup was really profound to me because, Gallup's a border town. It's a violent border town. And it mostly, like, Diné people go there for their shopping or just to, you know, hang out there for the weekend. But oftentimes there is a lot of hostility towards Native people. And what was profound about the Gallup book event was that it was one of the very few times that I had ever seen like Indigenous people in a space just being honest about their experiences with border town violence, but also just like the hope that Larry Kazuz brings them or like ignites within them. And there were some elders who were there who had organized with Larry Kazuz and were a part of Kiva Club. And so they were detailing their experiences like during that time as well. And they had said that they're always ready to be in the streets if there is ever a time that they're needed to organize or to support youth. And that all happened because, you know, people shared a common interest in the book and the history of like resistance or like the history of a Diné revolutionary. And it just showed me that people will come together for a book, which is so powerful because, you know, like because of the content of the book and like just the story that it tells, it sort of allowed people to just be honest, and it kind of gave them I don't want to say permission, but I guess like it's the right word in this context, but it kind of gave them permission to just like be themselves or to just speak.
Like confidence?
Yeah, confidence. There we go. That's the right word. Yeah, it gave them the confidence, especially in a place like Gallup, because it's like there is no space for them to do that. And if there is, it's very rare, you know? So, yeah. And then that kind of just like sparked another seed for me to build the book program.
I remember that day, the term book desert kept coming up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was like another like powerful conversation we had too, because we were prior to the book event, we were at Gallup Flea Market selling books. And then we had Dr. Danette Dale there, and then David Correa, who's like an author of An Enemy Such as This, Melanie Yazzie, and they were signing books as well. But yeah, we were just like talking about book deserts and how in Native communities it's very hard to get books or even access to books or just like reading material because there's like paywalls, or they have to travel to border towns to get what they're looking for. Or it's like, like literature is held like in academic spaces. So I really appreciated that conversation too, because then it sort of just made me think about like, well, like who does have access to knowledge, and like why is it only limited to certain people or like certain like institutions. And like it kind of just made me think about like how do I say this, like there was this piece I wrote, it's called like Stories That Wound and Stories That Heal. I can't remember the author right off the top of my head. But like in that piece, it talks about like deficiency, or like how it's often portrayed that Native communities or Native people are always lacking something. But what I like about the piece is that it kind of like flips the narrative, and it says that if like a system or like an institution, like if they're not providing certain like knowledge or like access to stories, then isn't the system or like the institution lacking and not the people? So yeah, I don't know, there was just like I had all of these questions and like all of these things I was navigating and sort of like trying to find like a place to start, because I also didn't want to share books just for the sake of sharing books, but I wanted it to be like purposeful and intentional.
Yeah. No, for real. The books that we were distributing and selling that day at the Gallup Flea Market was The Red Deal, Red Nation Rising, From Border Town Violence to Indigenous Liberation, and An Enemy Such as This, and Our History is the Future. Was that one? That one was there.
Yeah, that was there.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember like such, like it was like a light in the night, and people were like going to it, like they're really attracted to it, and because they haven't seen like rad books like these.
Yeah.
And there was a hunger for it, like like just like food deserts, there's book deserts in Indian country. But yeah, so that being said, let's talk about like the next like development in this journey, which was the No Name Book Club.
Oh yeah, so okay. This was kind of like so I was trying out different things and searching for organizations to collaborate with, or just like people who were interested in getting books out. And I had seen No Name Book Club on social media, and then just kind of following the work that they do, which is amazing. They have an incarcerated book club, and so every month they get out like I think it's up to 1,000, but they get 1,000 books out to their incarcerated members. And so I thought that would be like a good place to start. And I reached out to them and, said that Red Media could donate 1,000 books. So it was like 500 copies of the Red Deal, and 500 copies of Red Nation's Rising, which is about border town violence. And they accepted, and so we got like 1,000 copies out to incarcerated people. And that was just like so remarkable, because it was like, it was Native authors. And I think it's just so important for us to know about each other's struggles. And and like I just thought that was like a good first step.
It was.
Yeah.
It was huge. And there was I don't know how comfortable you may or may not be talking about this, but there was a person who got one of those books who reached out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, somebody reached out to us. They were incarcerated in, shoot, I think it was Wyoming. Oh God, I'm so sorry. But they had gotten our book. It was shared. They got a copy of both books, actually, the Red Deal and Red Nations Rising, and it was handed to them by another incarcerated person, like while they were being transferred. And oh my gosh, if you're listening, like, I just like appreciate your letter so much. It really gave me a lot of hope. And then just kind of knowing that this person who's like a formerly incarcerated person, they've been released now. But just hearing like or reading about what they learned from our books, but also just like the power and like hope it gave them in a place that's like deprived of any like joy or like freedoms was just so like what's the word? It was just so I can't even think, like there is no word to describe like just how like grateful that I was to have known that they got, because I mean, you know, like you send it and then it's just kind of like you don't know, like you put those intentions out there and then you just don't know what you're gonna get back. So then when it finally comes back to you, you're just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it reached somebody. But yeah, and then they were like just sharing with me, like, you know, that Wyoming or like Wisconsin, oh god, I should probably double check where they were writing from, but they were just like sharing with me, you know, statistics of incarcerated Native people in the regions that they're from, and it was just like, I don't know, I was just like, wow, like I'm completely blown away. And so it was just like another sort of like window into where books are needed, and again just kind of showing me like who has access to books and who's kept from these like materials, or like who is deprived of knowledge, you know, like on purpose. But yeah, I'll stop there.
Oh geez. Yeah. It's crazy seeing like that signal received. Just yesterday on TikTok, there was a group of Black folks who made this like clip of them reading the Red Deal. It looked like in an art gallery, but they're just like reading it in different places. Like it was like artsy, but it was so cool. Like, yeah. Or that one time that Dee saw somebody reading the Red Deal on a plane. Just yeah. Like, it's cool to know that, or it's I don't know, it's a feeling I can't describe, to know that our work is like reaching people, and especially that letter. It was very emotional to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gosh, when I got that letter, I like to be honest, I got it and like I was kind of having a bad day that day, but I opened it. And then like I read it in its entirety, and then I just started like crying in the parking lot. I just started crying in the parking lot because I was just like, oh my gosh, like yeah, just like so honored that they had reached out to us. And if you're listening, I wrote back, but it was sent back to me because it had said that they were no longer incarcerated. So it's kind of bittersweet, like, you know, but I'm glad they're out. And I hope they're doing well.
Same. So, after that sort of like, I guess I would call that like a pivotal moment, you started traveling and reaching out to different people. Like, so you reached out to No Name Book Club. That was like that's crazy. That's kind of like your first like contact, and it's also at the same time such like a heavy hitter.
I know.
So then after that, you start networking and reaching out to different organizations, libraries. You start driving all over the place.
Yeah. So, So No Name Book Club, receiving that letter definitely was very pivotal because it just like shifted everything. Because I think in the beginning I had a like sort of like a soft, like light idea of the book program. And then once I started thinking about access, and then just the sort of groups that I wanted to reach out to, I just decided like I want to reach people who are like kept or who are prevented or just like struggle to get access to books, and kind of was just going back and forth between like, you know, should it just be Native books or just like books in general, or you know what I mean? It's kind of trying to define that a little bit more. And so when I started reaching out to people, and I made it a point to meet them in person first. So I went to like, well, I started in Danetta because I'm Dene, and it was just like more comfortable for me to be like, you know, like, hey, what's up? I'm so-and-so. I'm from Red Media. These are my clans.
Red Media is like your fifth clan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I started talking to just various people at Navajo Nation Library, and was talking to them about what type of books they wanted to see. What did they think people wanted to read or like see in the library? And so I also went to Battered Families in Gallup and asked them the same thing. Like, you know, are you interested in books? Like, what do you think? What would you like to see? And I guess the purpose behind like asking people what they wanted was just that. Like, what do you want? What do you want to see? Because I feel that with Native people and just our experiences in general, whether it's like school or just being out in the world, like everything is imposed on us. We're always like told how to live or like what to read, what to learn. And so I think just asking people like what they want is sort of just like, it's like a freedom you didn't know that you needed. Or it just kind of like lifts the burden of, you know, like someone telling you like what you should have. So it's kind of like they're determining what they want to see or what they want to read and learn. So that's kind of where I started, and then the conversations just kept going after that. And that's also how I learned that not only are they requesting Native books, but they're also requesting books, like political books, like books about socialism or like Black revolutionaries, Palestinian struggles. So it kind of just affirmed to me like, okay, so they also want to learn about different struggles. They want to learn about other people. And that books are an avenue for that. Yeah, because I mean, if people can come together, like they did in Gallup, then it's like, oh my gosh, like if they have, you know, a variety of books, like then they could come together for those books too. And it's just like, oh, there's just so much, like so many possibilities. There's just so much potential. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. At Navajo Nation Library, one of the workers there had put together a list of books that they wanted to see in the library. And it's like about like 100 different titles. And it's just, yeah, I was just like so happy to receive it. And then also just like really like motivated to get them those books. Yeah.
Oh. Did you want to are you parched at all?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Pause.
I saw you take a reach earlier and then I was like, ah, shit. Cool.
I never know, like, if it's okay to, like, just, you know?
Yeah. I do it so quietly. Like, even I think about how I swallow. Rather, I do my best to do it quietly. Okay.
All right. Are my answers too long? I feel like I'm talking too much.
Not at all. Not
okay.
at all. This is perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I think that's like a good segue into like what brought you to do our first book drive, which was at the beginning of February this month.
Yes. Okay. So the book drive, that was just another thing that I wanted to try out. And I wanted to just be like inclusive of like community and people who support us or support I don't know, books, who love books. But also just wanted to engage with people a bit more and engage with Red Media. And it was also like an opportunity for people to be involved in getting books to Native libraries or schools, youth centers. So I wanted it to be sort of like a community effort. And because, I mean, gosh, like the world is just on fire. And I just thought like a book drive would be a good way to just like engage with people and to sort of like ignite like movement or like hope. Yeah, but the book drive was really successful. I am so appreciative of people who came out. Justine and I met a couple of you, our supporters, who were just like really down. And we got like so many amazing titles. And the titles that were suggested in our social media posts, like some of that came from the Navajo Nation Library, like worker I was talking about before. Yeah, and I was just like, again, it's just one of those things where like you put the intention out there, you don't know what you're gonna get back. So I was just like really like grateful or like humbled to know that, you know, folks do care, like people do care. And I think sometimes that's like something that I like don't always know, like just because the world is just like so chaotic right now. So it was just really good to, you know, see people come out. Like we had so much traffic that day in the office, which felt really good. And yeah, Justine was there. So like, yeah.
The office saw so much action that weekend. Mm-hmm. And on Red Media side for the book drive, but then also on Red Nation side, like after the pandemic had happened, like it's been very sporadic for the Larry Cassis Freedom Center for how many people come through and stuff. We had straight up legends in here this weekend. It was crazy. And then the Monday right after this weekend, well, that's when we had the March for Leonard Peltier. So it was just like a lot of like good energy like coming through the office. I don't know if you want to mention this, but we did get one title that I was interested in. American Indian Ghost Stories of the Southwest.
Yes.
We did read one. And it was actually funny because it was about this couple from San Domingo like going to Santa Fe for the weekend, and they stayed in this haunted like bed and breakfast, and it ended up being the late owner who had just died that night. Ooh. And but it was kind of funny to, like, I don't know, you've heard throughout, if you're an avid listener of the Red Nation podcast, you know how we feel about settler ghosts and the analysis that we have. They cling on to their places even in the afterlife. But anyways, yeah, that was like the funniest part of the day. I had to mention it.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I was not expecting that story. Like, that story went pretty hard.
It did.
I was like, damn. I was expecting something goofy, but
yeah, I know. Jen read it out loud to us, actually. But yeah, no, and then we also got a really good donation from our comrade Scott that day.
Oh yeah.
What were all the titles that he brought?
It was See You Soon, which was like a children's book about just sort of dealing with like an incarcerated parent. And then Indigenous People's History of the United States, Indigenous People's History of the United States for Young People, Bell Hooks' Will to Change, We Do This Till We Free Us, and then a book called Taking Sides. Also stickers. But yeah, so like that donation in itself will go a long way. So, and there was like multiple copies of each title. So that was just like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Scott.
I know, that was amazing. Those are, like I said, legends were here that weekend. Like, we had such awesome flow. So we get a whole bunch of books, and you're sorting through them, you're categorizing which ones, you know, will be donated and which ones won't. So where are these books going?
So, okay, I'm formulating a plan. So, once I get books out to Navajo Nation Library, I think from there, I'm going to donate books to Battered Families in Gallup. And then I've also just reaching out to various organizations. Like, I would like to, these haven't really been confirmed, but I would like to also donate to other like youth centers or organizations that provide services for houseless youth. So like one example would be like Inda Young and Minneapolis. And then the process would just be like similar to how I approached Navajo Nation Library and Battered Families, would just be like asking these organizations what type of books they would like, or, you know, for the people that they're providing services or resources to, what books do they want? And then I would also like to reach out to people who are kind of like community oriented. So I was also looking into different farms on like, yeah, just like different farms run by Indigenous people, because like some of them have, you know, like events or workshops when it's like harvest season. But there's also like families and children there. So it would just be me asking again, like, would you like children's books? And each book that I donate is, I guess, like, what's the word? What's the word? I don't want to say vetted. It's not vetted.
You have
catered?
to.
No, it's not catered.
You have to
curated.
Curate. Also, maybe even quality control.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me start over again. Okay. So each book that I plan to donate is carefully selected. So I want to, prioritize like good quality books. So books that aren't dirty or torn, or have like, just like coffee stains or something that are highlighted. And then also just like, since there are so many books about Native people written by like non-natives, I try to look out for that too. Or if there's like spiritual content that shouldn't be in there, or it's just like new agey or written by somebody that's like not in the community, that's also something that I look out for too. So it's very intentional. And if there are titles that are requested that I can't like find, or if they're like unavailable, then I'll just try to find like a book that's similar to it, or like the same author. Yeah. And then I just think too with like, so I've been researching like Native children's books.
Yeah.
And I don't, how people say like, oh, my inner child or whatever. Like, I kind of feel, not to be like a cornball, but like, I feel like my inner child is getting a kick out of like seeing all these children's books, because like I didn't have that growing up. So it's kind of like, oh my God, like I get so hyped about how like imaginative, or like the illustrations are just so vibrant, and like it's not some romanticization of Native people, but it's just like us.
It's not like there's been a shift from like that like cultural, like written by a white person.
Yeah.
This is what I think Indian culture is.
Exactly.
A shift to like Native books by Native people writing about things we actually care about.
Yeah,
like we are water
exactly.
protectors.
Mhm.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Aw. Yeah. And it's just so gosh, like I don't know, I just love it. Like, so it's like we are water protectors, or like be a good ancestor, or like there's this other book called We All Play, but it's like a book about like having good relations with animals. And yeah, so I'm just kind of like, oh my God, like these are so wholesome. So yeah, and I try to just look out for those too, and like just look for positive or like healthy messages, because I think that's also important too, for us to like see us in a good way. But, yeah.
Aww. Teaching socialist values to
Yeah.
the youths. Be nice.
For real.
Aww. So that brings us to talking a little bit of Red/Rad Books Day.
Oh yes. So February 21st. Hope my plan is for this episode to be released that day, so that people can hear about this book program, Freedom to Read. But also I would love to make a donation to Navajo Nation Library if our books come in time. And so with the book drive, we also received a little more than $1,000 in donations. So with the donations, I purchased various titles requested by Navajo Nation Library, and then also just like children's books. So I'm hoping if everything works out, we'll be able to donate those books along with like the books that everybody donated in the drive.
Nice.
On February 21st. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, worst case scenario, you know, like on Christmas, like a couple weeks after you get that Christmas gift from like your auntie on another res. So
yeah,
in the spirit of it, we'll be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. What books did you get? I'm curious.
So I got All About Love by Bell Hooks. A couple more copies of Blood in My Eye by George Jackson. And then what else did I get? From a Native Daughter by Hanani K. Trask. And some children's books. I Sang You Down from the Stars. Be a Good Ancestor. We Are Water Protectors. We All Play. And I also got, what else did I buy? Oh gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head. Hold on. Do you mind if I grab my phone?
Sure, go for it. Oh, those are all good titles.
Yeah. I Sang You Down from the Stars is like, it's so like...
The title alone just like make me want to cry.
It's about like a mother who's pregnant, and so they're preparing for the baby to arrive. But it's like, oh yeah, I don't know. It's really
wholesome.
Okay. Okay, so the books that I purchased are I Sang You Down from the Stars, Be a Good Ancestor, We Are Water Protectors, As Long as the Grass Grows, The Indigenous Fight for Environmental Justice, From Colonization to Standing Rock, American Indian Stories, An Afro-Indigenous History of the United States, We All Play, Kapae Mahu, From a Native Daughter, Colonialism and Sovereignty in Hawaii, Blood in My Eye, Braiding Sweetgrass for Young Adults, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. Freedom is a Constant Struggle from Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundations of a Movement. All About Love. And that's it.
Oh my god, yeah. That's such an impressive spread. Wow. Yeah. And the Navajo Nation Library is in Window Rock?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yep. And I also really want to include more titles from like Black revolutionaries or like Black feminist thought, along with like more books about like the struggles in Hawaii. I wanted to include Detours, the book about like Hawaii, but it's like kind of detailing the military occupation and all of the impacts of that. But also more stories about like LGBTQ struggles. Yeah, and then children's books about just like about everyone and everything. So yeah, I'm always looking for like inclusive books, books that are often sought out, but people struggle to get them. So if anyone has recommendations, I'm always open to them.
Dang. Okay. So that brings us up to the now, which I totally forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode. We are releasing this on Red/Rad Books Day, this upcoming Tuesday. Hopefully, Kylie and I will be able to drive out to Navajo Nation, Window Rock to deliver these books. If not, we'll just be that auntie that comes a week later. Yeah, so I guess that is before I start doing like our whole thing that I gotta say where to contact you, blah blah blah. Do you have like any like closing thoughts or conclusions or any what are your final words?
Yeah, I guess I could say a little bit about like, well, I don't know, like, I guess like another sort of like looming thought that I had while I was developing this book program. It's kind of like in the back of my mind, but oftentimes like you hear that, like books are not important, or like print is dying, or there's like, like no interest in reading, this and that. And I just want to say, like, I don't think that's true. Just from like reaching out to people, I think that access to books is sort of like a class issue, and that it is like important because books are an avenue to learning about different struggles, or just building like imagination, or like a strength within people to like build to build whatever they want to see in the world. Like, I think books give people that confidence. And I like oftentimes too it's heard that like, well, you can't learn this from a book, or like, you already know that saying. I can't exactly remember word for word, but I also think that like, and I understand that, but also like, if books were not important, or if like nobody learned from them, then like, why do we always turn to print or to books when we're like researching or wanting to know more about like, whether it's our perspectives or just like something that we're trying to develop or like challenge. And I think also too, like, what about people who are trying, like, if we can't learn from a book, then like, what about people who are like outcasted, or like who are isolated from their communities, or just like from the world? You know what I mean? Like incarcerated people, they like want books to read, or like it helps them keep connected. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if this is like a necessary rant, but I just think like, yeah, books are important. They help us like connect to each other. They provide us knowledge, a purpose, the confidence to be in this world and to create a world like after this one. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting us. And hopefully I'll see you all out in the real world.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Kylie. Yeah, so if you want to help or make a contribution to Kylie's book program, the Freedom to Read book program, if you can't make it to one of our in-person donation events, you can donate through PayPal. We have a book fund. The link is posted in both Red Media and the Red Nation socials. If you look at our bios, go to the link tree. On the Red Nation, you scroll all the way to the Red Media portion of the link tree, and you'll find the link there. Thank you so much for your monetary donations already. Kylie read you the amazing list of books that she was able to get with that. And also, if you want to support Red Media at large, please subscribe to our Red Media Patreon for bonus episodes and early release content of the Red Nation podcast and others. We're growing our podcast platforms too. So for as low as $2 a month, you get access to bonus episodes, and for whatever amount more, we have other Patreon benefits. Go check it out. Thank you so much for listening today, and thank you so much, Kylie, for really just going in there with a flaming sword. Thank you, everybody.